Hello, 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 everybody. It's me, Jessica Grace, and we are live right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am so excited to be here with you. Woo! We made it to another Tuesday. It's Tuesday Tips, and we're going to talk about how to write your book fast. Quick ways to write your book. So I thank you guys so much for actually sharing this video today, and thanks for your patience with getting started. Yesterday, I went back and watched the replay and noticed that we went extremely fast. I was extremely hyper. So just wanted to let you know about, yesterday, how we kind of sped through the topic on Monday Motivation. And the topic was simply, we were talking about the importance of, moving forward and making sure that you are sharpening your skills. So no gift left behind. That's what we talked about on yesterday. And I'm going to dive deeper into the topics that I talk about when we're live. I'm going to dive deeper into the topics in the Inner Circle and some other programs that my team and I are working on. So I know sometimes we kind of go really fast on the show, and I don't want you to be alarmed. I want you to know that behind the scenes, in some other private settings, we are definitely going to dig deeper. So I'll be sharing in the Inner Circle about, the importance of being plugged into certain resources. I'll even share some of the influencers that I follow and learn from when it comes to marketing my business, staying on top of, all of my content, my branding, my marketing, video production, things like that. I'll share some of the influencers that I follow, as well as some of the resources that I have gravitated to help me to sharpen my gifts. And not only that, but I will definitely be sure to share with you in the Inner Circle, and sometimes here when we're live, I'll share with you, of course, from my years of experience. That is very important to me, that you have an opportunity to learn from what I have done. And so today I'm excited. I'm going to go ahead and put up in the comments section now. I know I've got some people tuned in. And let's see, what do we have? I'm looking at the comments. All right, so today we're going to talk about some quick ways to write your book. And I don't know why my nose is just itching today. Anyway, so we're going to talk about some quick ways to write your book. If you have ever written a book, I want you to put it in the comment section that you are already an author. And if you are not an author, but you want to become an author, I want you to put that in the comment section. I like to know who's listening, who's tuned in, so that we can definitely make sure we cater the conversation to you. So we're going to talk about quick ways to write your book. Now, you guys know that I've written a few books. This was my first book. I talked about this a little bit yesterday. It's called Release the Greatness. And it's a really beautiful, inspirational Christian book that really just helps you to recognize, the power that lies on the inside of you, and letting it out, letting it flow, and becoming that amazing person that you were created to be. So this was my very first book, and this is not how my book looked when I first released it back in 2012. Just recently, I think it was yesterday, not yesterday, but just recently, maybe last year, we created this new cover and just kind of rebranded the book so that we could have, a more up-to-date look. But the cover was definitely for 2012, even, the first cover. And we rebranded it so that the cover could really speak to today. I took some new pictures and things like that. So I guess that's just a little tip that I wanted to share with you first and foremost. One thing about writing a book, and that I really want you to be mindful of, your book project will constantly evolve. You will constantly grow to new levels of writing. You will constantly grow to new levels of maturity within yourself, where you feel like, oh, I could have said that better. I could have done this better. Or I could have done that. You will constantly evolve. But what I don't want you to do is be so stuck in the writing stage that you don't allow yourself room to bloom right where you are. So you can move forward with the book as is, you can move forward with the idea as is. And then as time progresses, even after you publish the book, you may sharpen it, you may change it, you may update it, you may upgrade it. And that's why we have, second editions and additional volumes, because a lot of times people revisit their titles, they revisit their books, and they make them better. They polish them and then they re-release them. So that's what I did. And I guess the reason why I really wanted to share that is because a lot of times people get stuck in the first, writing stage, and they feel like, oh, I don't know how to say this, or they just are constantly rewriting and constantly just stuck at branding and just stuck at these pieces of producing the book that you really can kind of go with where your heart is. You can go with that. And then eventually you can kind of phase out and evolve, after you get it out there. It's just a thought. It took me about 5 years to write this book because I was stuck in the rewriting stage. Now, I will say that this is a Christian book. So when I first wrote the book, I felt like my expression was extremely deep. And I didn't want the book to be like extremely deep because I wanted people who were not necessarily Christians or people who just did not know a lot about, walking with God. I wanted them to enjoy the book, to be able to understand the book. And so that's why I wanted to just express that sometimes, you'll find yourself in different processes when it comes to writing, that's for sure. But don't get stuck on things that can change later or evolve later. Move forward. All right, so let's talk about some of my favorite ways to write a book. And I see some of you guys in the comment section right now already here and ready to go with us. All right, awesome. So one of the ways that I absolutely love writing is actually recording. Yes. So there was a book that I wrote, and I don't have it with me, but we're actually still kind of polishing it up before we release it to the public. But there was a book that I wrote actually driving. I was driving back and forth on the highway, traveling and doing things like that. And I actually took out the audio app on my phone and started writing the book that way. So I didn't use the speech to text. I just simply did an audio file. And it just allowed me to flow when it came to, okay, this, just really releasing how I felt. Hello, good to see you. So it really allowed me to just release how I felt in an audio file. So what I want to encourage you to do is consider that. Consider using, if you have an iPhone, of course, there's the iPhone app where you can record. And you guys, most of you already know what that app is, but it's called Voice Memos. And with the Voice Memos app, you have, the red button there on the iPhone. Now, I also have an Android device. And so there is an app on the Android device as well. And it is called Voice Recorder. So having a device, using your record feature on your mobile device helps you because there's really no limit to how much you can record. So you can just talk forever. Sometimes I was driving and I was talking and, basically writing my book verbally. There were times when I was cleaning up the house and I would just put my earpiece in and I would literally just, write my book that way, verbally. So even walking, that's a great way to get started, to just kind of brain dump and just start talking out your book and writing your book word for word. There is a difference between talking the book out, like saying, okay, this is what I want to write about, that's one thing. But the other part is actually writing out and saying, sometimes in life you may find yourself, going through different challenges. That's word for word of the manuscript. And that is what I have done, as well. So after you record the book on your device using your mobile device. Then you can upload it to a file sharing system like Google Drive or Dropbox or, WeTransfer, any type of file sharing tool that you prefer. And then you can download it onto your computer and upload it to a transcription service. So, one of my favorite transcription services is called Temi, and that's Temi. And so Temi is super awesome. I'm going to put it in the comments section. I got a lot going on today, y'all. I'm over here like my nose was itching, and then I had to kind of let up a hiccup. But thanks for bearing with me. But Temi is a really cool app that you can use. It's an app, and as well as you can go to it online for transcribing your audio files. I absolutely love it. I've used it several times. It is not free, but it is not expensive. So I definitely recommend that. Another tool that I recommend for transcription is Web. So you can use Rev and Temi. Let's see, transcription. Let's see here. So you have Rev, and then you have Temi as well. And those two resources can help you when it comes to transcribing your audio file that you recorded on your mobile device. So you may say, well, I don't have, an app on my phone for me to record, or it just doesn't work well. Another way that you can record your manuscript via audio is dialing in to a free conference line. So what I have done previously is you can use freeconferencecall.com. It's absolutely free. And what you can do is you can dial in as if you're having a conference call. And as soon as you get in, the music starts playing, then you just press *9 and it starts recording. It's going to prompt you to enter in some things to verify that you are the host of the call, but it will just be you. And you will simply just press *9 to start recording so that you can, record yourself talking out the manuscript, writing your book verbally. Then you'll log into your free conference call account and you will be able to download that audio file after you're finished. So then you will take that same audio file and upload it to a transcription service such as Temi or Rev, and you'll be able to have the written manuscript, the written copy of your book. Now, of course, because, transcription is all, technical, so it's not a human being. So you may have to kind of edit a few of the words once you go through the written document. But for the most part, you will have your manuscript written out based on that particular audio file. Okay, so then after you get that audio file, you take it to your editor, and they have the awesome privilege of piecing everything together for you, as far as if one day you recorded chapter 1 and another day you recorded the end or what have you. They'll have the awesome privilege of bringing it together and helping it to flow. So that's a wonderful way to write your book. All right, I have maybe just a few more tips and I'm going to share them as well. So another awesome way to write your book is, of course, getting a ghostwriter. So you may say, Jessica, what is a ghostwriter? Is this safe? Is this okay? Because I want to make sure that my book is a true reflection of me. Yes, many people that you probably follow, especially if they're absolutely famous and they hardly have any time, most of them use ghostwriters. Now, so what is the difference between ghostwriting and call to copy? Okay, so with a ghostwriter will actually take your topic and hear from you, your vision for the book, and then they will actually do the research and compile the content and start building the manuscript based upon their interpretation of what you're looking for, right? So that's what a ghost writer does. They basically write the book for you based on, your vision and based on the research that they do to make the book a great book. Now, another thing that you could do aside from having a ghostwriter is what is called call to copy. Call to copy is when you actually get with a writer or you get with an editor and you actually talk to them about each particular section of your book. And so this is where instead of you recording it on your phone, you're recording it with a live person. You're talking to them, they're interviewing you, and they're just pulling out of you everything that you want to say in this book. Sometimes the process is similar for ghostwriters as well as for call to copy, but I will say that for ghostwriting, it's kind of a little bit more in the hands of the ghostwriter than it is for when you're just doing call to copy. Call to copy is more of your voice. It's really a lot more of your experience, what you have experienced concerning this topic. So these are just two different ways that you can, write your book, quick ways. You can connect with a publisher or an independent contractor who does copy editing or ghostwriting services, and they can help you that way through ghostwriting or call to copy. Or you can actually start writing your book on your device. Okay, so there is so much more that I could say about this, and I hope you guys are enjoying. I see you in the comments and everything. I see that you're here. So if you have questions, go ahead and post your questions in the comment section. Who's writing a book right now? Who has ever written a book? I definitely want to hear from you, and who's interested in writing a book. I want to know, what your thoughts are, and also if there's something that's holding you back from writing your book. I want to talk about that as well. So, what is exactly going on with you guys to keep you from moving forward? Let's see, let's see, let's see. Are ghostwriters expensive? That's a great question. So, they are in some cases expensive, and it really just depends on who you actually are connecting with, which publishing company you're connecting with. It's really just a matter of that particular company that you go with, to be honest. Some of them are, and some of them aren't. All right. So Diamond Willis says some of the things that keep her from writing her book is life, family, kids, school, etc. Yes, and I understand that. And that's why it's so important to take advantage of, of course, scheduling is the first thing that you have to do. You have to schedule your writing time. You have to make it a part of perhaps your self-care, your personal time, your me time, because it is true, sometimes, you hit the ground running, but if you can actually set a time on your schedule and you say this time is dedicated to writing, that will help you. Also, making sure you're in an environment that inspires you to write about your particular topic. Depending on what your topic is, you may not feel comfortable going to a busy environment or being in a busy environment. You may or may not like a coffee shop. You may or may not like being at your house. You may want to be at a lake, depending on what inspires you. But that will help you to focus in and make sure that you are getting it done. So, having a schedule will help you to get it done, even in the midst of just day-to-day things that come up. And also, of course, making sure that you take advantage of the different ways that you can write your book, as far as, if you're en route to work, press record on your phone and start recording, start talking out your manuscript. Now, when you are doing that, don't worry about, getting it right word for word, because you will not. That's what the editing process is for. And so many people have a tendency to get stuck on making sure that it's perfect, that they don't finish the manuscript because they're constantly rewriting, constantly rewording. And like I said, that's what happened with my first book. It took me about 5 years to write it simply because I just kept rewriting it and kept rewording it when I really could have just submitted it to the editor and said, "Hey, this is the tone that I'm trying to write the book in. Can you help me take this book to that particular level?" All right, so what else? Any other questions? So if you have so many things you desire to talk about as far as topics, how do you go about picking that right topic for yourself? That's a really good question. I think you have to go with where you can really serve the most. That is exactly what my advice is to you. Focus on where you can really serve the most. Focus on where you can really pour out the most right now at this place in your life. If you're writing, from like for me, my first book, Release the Greatness, I was inspired to write this book because I had gone through a period of time where I was just, going through depression and anxiety, and God literally reminded me that there was greatness in me. And so I began to just write from my heart because I wrote from where I was. I wrote from where I was at that moment, and I wrote to encourage and inspire other people. And so I pulled different stories together that really helped to communicate the subject matter of this book. So you have to just really base your content off of what you really have to talk about. If you don't really have a whole lot to talk about on a specific topic, then I wouldn't advise really digging into that much because you may not be pleased with the finished product. So that's just some way to kind of answer your question. Work with what you have, work with the topic that you really feel like you can really serve on, and then kind of put the other ones to the side, and maybe you can write notes on those, later as you go and as you grow in those areas, and you'll be more happy to write about that. Okay, what else? Let's see. More comments, more questions. Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, I don't really see any other questions right now. Um, I will probably more than likely be hosting a class on this soon. So I definitely want you all to stay tuned. And what I mean by that is we'll dive deep into, building your chapters, choosing an editor, designing your book cover, like a whole DIY class I'm planning to prepare for you all. So stay tuned for that in case you want to be a part of that as well. Interior design, everything. Let's see. How transparent do you feel someone should be when covering topics? You know, I think a person should be very transparent. You do have to be kind of cautious in this day and time simply because you never want to share something that could get you in trouble, or that could, expose certain people that you care about or that you don't care about. You don't really want to expose people. So you want to have some type of, character and, class and dignity and integrity when writing the book and putting it out there to the world. And you just want to make sure that you would be proud of it, and your family would be proud of whatever you share. That's one thing to keep in mind. Now, your story is your story, your experience is your experience. But one thing that people have to be mindful of when it comes to transparency is, being mindful of, if I share this, will this hurt someone else? Will this offend someone else? Will this be slander against someone else? So those types of things are important to keep in mind. And there's always a way to say things, or kind of maybe give, fake names or things like that when you're really trying to say something, but you really don't want to say everything. So that's just something, to keep in mind. You guys, that is my time. I definitely want to make sure you all enjoyed this show. And if you have any other questions, I definitely want you to reach out to me. So you can send me a question via inbox and I'd be happy to answer them. Again, we're going to do a deep dive soon into this. We're going to, go over interior design, just go over some cost-effective ways to write your book and dig into those, quick book writing practices as well. And then I have a friend that I'm going to be bringing on in August, and she's going to share with us. She owns a publishing company. It's Purposely Created Publishing. They are going through a rebranding right now. So we'll definitely be bringing her on soon so you can find out about her company and what she offers, but also just hear from her expertise as a publisher. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about everything that's to come. Please make sure that you share this video, and I will be back again with you all on tomorrow. All right, stay tuned, stay connected. Take care.